Everyone, good evening. Welcome. It's good to see you guys again. As you're coming in, again, don't forget to just leave me a comment. Let me know that you can hear me okay. I'm still working off a not the best mic, unfortunately, but we'll do the best we can. I'm got a lot to talk about today. I want to talk about this leverage. We saw it coming. I think the last couple of videos on this channel, I warned you that it was coming. I want to talk about the move, why it happened, what happens next, what does this mean next, what are we looking for now, is it over, all that kind of stuff. Thank you. Good to see. Okay, so I'm going to talk about today Bitcoin, Ethereum, and a couple of the major alts. There's something interesting I was noticing in the charts earlier today was that the altcoins seem to be wanting to recover faster than Bitcoin, which I thought was really interesting. So we'll take a look at why that might be. And if there's time left at the end, I will happily take some requests. So let me just switch over and we'll have a look. What am I doing here? I've moved things to the other side and now I can't find them. Okay, so let's switch over to the charts. So the first thing I want to talk about, so we were talking about this leverage on the last couple of sessions, and this leverage peaked up here at 0.2, which is an all-time high for the leverage ratio. We've never seen it that high before. If I just zoom into this section now, we can see that that move there has flushed out a lot of the leverage, which is quite good. We're currently, however, sitting at 0.19, which is still potentially on the high side. Does that mean we'll have a further drop? Well, once we get into the charts, we will have a look at that. The other thing too is let's have a look at the fear and greed index. That's currently still sitting on extreme greed at 77. I guess that means that there's still a lot of confidence in the market, which I guess is good. But again, if you think about that we're still at extreme greed during, right after a flush out, that has to make you wonder if another flush out is on the way, right? Because usually the flush out will bring that greed down. Now, again, we won't know. We really need to see this reset tomorrow to see how much of an effect that had. Oh, I just noticed that my screen is gone. Hang on. Here I am. So yeah, we need to see this reset tomorrow. But yeah, considering it went from greed to extreme greed after a drop, is something we just want to be a little bit cautious of. Let's have a look at the tug of war. So tug of war is telling us that in the last hour, there are more people currently shorting than longing. So that's also something else we want to look out for. Again, could tell us that there is potentially more downside to come. And if we just have a quick flash at the current significant orders, we can see that there's quite a lot of red going on there at the moment. So looking like people still want to short the market further. Now, before we get into the charts, I just wanted to do an update on the crypto case giveaway that we're doing on this channel. Just a reminder, if you don't know about it, when we had the drop to around 30,000, I invested $100 each into 10 different coins, and I have been holding those as they as they increase in value to give away to you guys in the community. So there are 10 coins and 5 winners. So each winner will win 2 coins each chosen at random. These will start getting given away when we hit 5,000 subscribers on this channel. So if you are new here watching for the first time, make sure you hit that like button, hit the subscribe, turn on the bell notification so you can be notified every time I go live. And make sure you share this around, because the more people that we get it out to, the faster we'll hit that 5K subscribers, which means the faster we can give away these coins. I'm super keen to give away these coins. So even on our dump yesterday, we are still sitting at a total balance of around $2,860 from an initial $1,000 investment. So yeah, super keen to start giving those away. So make sure you share, subscribe, let your friends know about this channel. Let's get to that 5K as fast as possible. Okay, now that we've done all of that, let's now have a look at Bitcoin starting off. So there's a couple of things that I want to point out first of all. Let's go back in time a bit. We'll go on the daily. So there was something that I noticed in the indicators during the week that I wanted to point out. So looking at this region over here, this area here is looking very, very similar to what's going on right now. And besides the fact that we put in a higher high at that same period in time, let me just close this. The RSI and the MACD also told a very interesting story. So when we look at this high here on the price, so you guys seeing that? Yeah. The RSI came all the way up to around, what level was that? Around 80 on the RSI. And the MACD peaked as well. And then as we sold off, the MACD lines crossed bearish. Now, once we turned around and crossed bearish again on the MACD, we then did put in another, another MACD high. However, it was a lower high compared to the one before. The same thing happened on the RSI as well. You can see here. So the RSI put in a divergence, a bearish divergence, while price put in a bullish structure with a higher high. And this, if we now look over where we are now, is very, very similar. So we had this peak over here, which put the RSI up at around that 80 level as well. And we got that first MACD cross there too. Now, yesterday or day before, the MACD then took that second bullish across above the zero line. And now we're really just waiting to see, will it come and repeat what happened over here with a lower high? At the same time as all of that, the RSI, this is on the daily as well, has also just put in a bearish divergence as well when we compare that with these two highs here. So what does that mean? Well, if we have a look at what happened after that, after this divergence was put in, we did have a bit of a pullback, and that pullback, if we measure it out on the with the fibs, it pulled back to the 61.8 level, and then it continued up to create another high. If we look here at what happened today so far, and we draw fibs on that same level, then we've wicked into the 61.8 again. So this does look like a pattern repeating. However, that would only really be valid if the move down were to stop here. And that's sort of what we have to discuss today. Cannot see the bottom of the chart. You can't see this MACD. Okay, anyway, so you can see these here now. So the thing that we have to think about now is this move over or not? Is there further down to go? So let's have a look at what the 4 hour is currently looking like. The 4 hour, now that we have all of that data that we looked at in the beginning, the 4 hour is definitely looking like bears still want to push price down further. What I don't like about this move when we look at the 4 hour is where we wicked into was no man's land. It didn't, usually when we wick down, we'll wick into an area of liquidity where we'll sort of pick up previous buy orders, but we don't have that when we look left. So that's making me wonder if we may head down further, because really the zone is down here, and at best it's potentially this one too right here. So I am thinking at this point in time that we should be cautious. This could come down to create, let me just have a look here, somewhat of a pattern that looks like this, that comes down and the buyers are waiting here before we head up further. That's what I'm going to be watching for now. What would invalidate that would be yet another bounce off this support. So if I move that there, so if we were to hold this level, so that's 64,000, and then start to change market structure on the 1 hour time frame, that's when I would think, okay, we're not heading down any further. This was the best of it, and we're going to be fine from here on in. So there's not really any decisions for me to make right now. We just need to wait. So first step is, let's see if that 64,000 level holds. And if it does, then we're waiting for a higher high, higher low. And that's your entry from there. So what would that mean? Let's just put fibs now from here. Yeah, so if we can get close to that 61 level, so that's at about 66. Yeah, let's say around here. That kind of makes sense. So if price now attempts a recovery, can get above and hold above this level, as long as it holds there, then we could start looking for longs again. However, I think it's probably more likely that at this point in time, I'm feeling it's probably more likely that we may break down to this level at about 60 to 100. Would still be bullish if that were to happen. But yeah, it's just the only reason that I'm thinking this move may not be over is simply because that wick, it just ends in the middle of nowhere, and that doesn't make logical sense. So, what else is what's up, legend? Yeah, so that's how I'm feeling about Bitcoin. I think that we should still be careful. There's no need to rush into positions right now. I really like when a big move like that happens, I really like to watch a 15-minute charts, and you can see here throughout the day, let me just get rid of all this other stuff that we don't need. Throughout the day, the 15-minute today was holding these two levels really well. Between 64.2 and 65.1. It has tried to peak up and had another sell-off. This is creating higher highs on the 15s. So if this can push up above here and then now hold above this level, then I would say we'll be good to get back to this level here. However, that's only short term. That's only a short-term recovery. We could easily push up to here and then reject back down again into this lower level. And at this point in time, that's actually quite likely. So if you're a scalper or day trader or something like that, you could easily long that up to there and then bag flip it back down if it rejects. But yeah, the 15-minute after a huge drop gives me a pretty good idea of, are we going to recover fully, or is this now a downtrend? So I don't at this point in time think that this is now a downtrend, especially when we zoom out and have a look at the daily, for example. Now I have to get all that off. That was in the way. When we look at the daily even more, we didn't break a trend line. We didn't even break a trend line. So, it's kind of good to get a bigger perspective sometimes, because when you're looking at smaller time frames, it can look like such a huge move. But when you zoom out, it's really nothing. So, yeah, I still feel that it would make perfect sense for something like that to happen. Then the recovery and everything's fine from there. And the other thing too is, the other reason I feel that is because this buy up since the drop has not been strong. It's fairly weak right now. So I would expect more downside, but I don't think it's dramatic. I don't think it's scary. And I think if anything, it's just a buying opportunity. We just need to wait for support in order to do that. Now, let me just turn this off. Let's have a look at Ethereum. So Ethereum's crazy. Ethereum just missed out on hitting my target of 49.30. What did we get up to? The closest was 48.70. But Ethereum, same thing, like it's intact with the trend line after that move. So Ethereum is extremely bullish. I still wouldn't take a long at this stage. I think it's definitely too early to do that, but it's looking pretty amazing. Now, what do I think? Sorry, what do I think could happen with Ethereum is we could take that last attempt. Now we could rebuild to that level, then do a bit of an ABC correction down to what we originally thought was the wave four. Or we could just smash through those levels. I want to have a look at the dominance before we make up our mind. Okay, so having a look at Bitcoin dominance now, you can see here that we have put in a lower high. So that makes sense why the alts are attempting a recovery faster than Bitcoin is right now. And it's because of the dominance. So let's have a look at the totals and see the difference there. So total market cap is looking fine. Total 3 is, they're probably the same actually. Yeah, there's not too much difference in them. So I think the fact, it really just comes down to the dominance then. The fact that alts have tried to recover a little bit faster today just tells you that well, the dominance tells you that that's why. So let's go back now. Now that we know that, we can have a look at Ethereum. So if the dominance continues to decline, Ethereum could continue to push up. So that's why it was important to have a look at that. I'd still, if Ethereum does continue to push up, I'm still watching that 49.30 level or anything under 5K. It does make sense to do a big short there. And then also considering that the leverage is still at 1.9, it may do an absolute repeat of what it did. So have this fake push to FOMO everyone in, then do a big sell-off. The same thing literally could happen here. One more fake push to that level, then we have the sell-off down. If you're just spot holding Ethereum, I would hold through that. I wouldn't bother too much about taking profits and trying to get back in. But if you're leverage trading at these levels, I would still be very careful. I still think the leverage is a little bit high and there's potentially more flush out to come. And it may come quickly. It may come, overnight for us. So, all right. So let's have a look at, there's a couple of others that I thought were recovering quite well. Let me just quickly flick through. Okay. So ADA was one of them. So ADA, we were talking about it doing nothing for a really long time. Then all of a sudden it pushed out and everybody had major FOMO if they didn't catch this move. But this week down, this sell-off here gave you the perfect re-entry on ADA. And currently it's holding above that previous resistance, which is now flipped support. So ADA's looking good as long as it holds here. Let's have a look on the 4 hour to see if it looks like it's going to hold. I don't think it is. I'd be careful of ADA potentially coming down again into this support area one more time, then a recovery from there. So I'd be a little bit skeptical looking on the shorter time frames of ADA. What would change my mind now and decide to get in if it didn't push down into that zone one more time would be simply a break of this trend line here. So if I take these off, so if ADA was to do something like this and then change, then that's the point there that I would be happy to long again. But as long as it's staying underneath this trend line, I would expect it to do one more leg down. Would be good entry off support there and then potentially buy out. I don't know why I'm using this pen tool because I actually hate it. It's so messy and I never use it. So I'm going to stop myself doing that right now. So that's how I feel about ADA. Now, let me just flick through because there's a couple of others that were looking good that I wanted to show you. So Dot, we talked about Dot on the last stream, and we got a wick right down into the buy zone. That was a perfect buy if you weren't already in Dot, or a perfect top-up zone. So very happy with that one. Let's look at it now. Let's get rid of that. We don't need it anymore. Now, if we put a fib level on this right now, so it's at the critical zone right now. Can you guys see that? And the reason I say that is because, so we've had this big sharp move now down. That's a huge wick. Had pretty nice buyer recovery here, but looks like we're currently rejecting off 61.8, which is also around the previous support. So it looks like, again, we may come down. I'd be waiting to see maybe on the 1 hour chart. If we get a bearish engulfing, then there could be a short position. Let's have a look. Back down into there. So that'd be a very juicy short position with a potential bag flip back up the other way when we get there. That's an easily identifiable demand zone, and we came right in there. So I would expect us, especially with a wick this big, I would expect for us to come down and pick up the rest of what was left behind the first time. Now, again, what would invalidate that would be that we break above this 49.60 and we hold above there. So if we break above here, hold above here, then I would expect continuation to the upside. But my feeling is we will come down one more time. Now let me have a look. I think Link was another one that, or did it already take off? Yeah, Link, unfortunately, we were talking about this one on the last stream and it didn't come back into the buy zone. It's extremely bullish now. If we look at it, if we zoom out on Link, it's past a very key resistance right now. So the only way, I certainly wouldn't chase Link right now. I would have liked for it to squeeze a little bit more. It didn't do that. However, if the market does take another leg down, now you know where it tried to get price before, right? Because now we have this wick. So all we need to do is see, can we match that wick up to a demand zone on the 4 hour, and you would match it up to that candle right there. And there's your potential entry if we get another dump, right? May not happen, but if you're wanting to buy Link cheap, that's sort of the area you'd be looking at. And usually, if that's what I was doing on something like this, my entry is going to be just above that to make sure I get the entry. There's no guarantee we'll get into the zone, especially because this wick didn't actually get into the zone either. So an entry just a little bit above that will give you a better chance of picking up Link if you're looking to pick up some more. However, it does look like it's taking off already. So unless we get another flush out, we may not get another entry on Link or another opportunity. I think Theta was another one that I was looking at. Yes. So Theta long term, if we zoom out and look at it on, big scale, huge daily symmetrical triangle just waiting to bust out and actually do something. And we did get a wick right into that buy zone that I was looking at. However, we may get a second chance. What I need to change now is this level here. That's definitely the new resistance. Now that we've met there twice, let's have a look at the 4 hour and see, do we think we're going to get a second chance? Let's just have a look at this here. So it's currently sitting around the 50 fib level. It could happen. I wouldn't bother shorting it from here because it's a bit iffy. It could continue to build a bear flag here, come up to this 61.8, then take a leg down. I wouldn't bother with that. I'd let that move happen and take the long once it decides. Now again, now that that wick has happened, we can zoom in on the actual demand zone for this and get a better idea of, which was the candle that the orders were all waiting at. And we can see now clearly that it was this one here, which makes sense because that was the last battle zone doji hammer small bodied candle before we had a big move out. So that's going to now be, if you're looking for buys, what I really like about this is if we're lucky enough to get price come down, reject here off the 50 or even 61.8, and then come down back into the zone. Again, I would have my orders a little bit above the zone just to make sure I get picked up. But what I like about it is that it will still keep theta, however you say it, in line with this trend line here that is the new trend within the triangle. So that's looking really good to me. I think a little bit of patience and we could get lucky there. Now, what happens if we don't get that wick down? Then because this is the next level of resistance, I would probably wait to take it as a breakout trade. So something like that, which is not my ideal. I don't like breakout trading in this current cycle. I find it's better to get entries off support at the moment, and certainly laddering in has been really successful for me in this market. Just buying a little bit off support, then buy the breakout, then buy the retest, and that's it. Then you're fully positioned. So, I wouldn't really go in on full risk on a breakout trade because a lot of these, look at this, like big sell-off, little push, big sell-off. It's happening a lot in this market. So I'll just zoom in on that so you can see. So that's why I'm not loving breakout trading at the moment. But definitely, if we come back down into here, that's gonna be where I will ladder. So third of my position. Now, XLM was another one that I'm looking at that I think could have some big potential, and it's actually been a long time for this one to be ready, and it's not ready yet, but it's definitely on my radar. So the reason is because, we've had this huge sell-off back here in May, and ever since then, we've just been creating this huge daily ascending triangle, and it's taking its time, which is fine. The more that it squeezes into the pointy end of that triangle, the more explosive the move is going to be when it does eventually break out. So that's why I'm watching this one very closely. Unfortunately, again, if it does break out from here, then you're getting in after, let's have a look. You're getting in after it's already pushed up 67%. That's not my ideal way to trade. So I really would like to see it come down, continue to create more lower highs, continue to just consolidate in this zone, then get in on the big breakout as it squeezes. That's what I'm watching for on XLM. If I don't get that condition, I'm not going to jump into it. I really only want it if it continues to squeeze. And lastly, let's have a look at XRP. So XRP also, we talked about this on the last stream, and it was basically doing a continuation of this, what it's done in the past, which then led to an explosive breakout, and now we're doing this on a much larger scale. What does that mean? We don't know, but if history were to repeat, we would be able to make a lot of money on XRP. So XRP, when we had the sell-off today, let's just move this. We just came back to test the previous support. So XRP is still looking very bullish and looks like it really wants to recover already. If you're looking for an entry on XRP, let's look at the 4-hour. Yeah, so XRP could still very much take one more leg down as well, looking at where it is on the 4 hours. So I'll get this off. And if we draw a fib from this push here, we're currently between the 50 and the 61.8. So again, it's very possible that, what am I looking for here? It's very possible that we'll reject off this level and come down here. Right now, it's equally as possible that we'll just do this, hold above it, and then continue up. So what would I be waiting for to know? So with XRP, similar to, I can't remember which one it was now, but I'd be watching on the 1 hour for a bearish engulfing at around this level. Anything up to that 61.8, so 1.259 level. If there's a bearish engulfing there could be a short-term short just back down to here. Again, this is a very obvious zone here that price wicked into, if we include that wick of that candle. So we could expect that it would come back there again. And yeah, that could be a short that bag flips into a long as well, just depending on when the move is done, when price does get back in there, how bearish does it continue to look. So if it trickles down into that zone, you could probably expect that all of these zones I've talked about are going to hold as support, and then we will just continue from there. But if it's another sharp move down into the zone, we're probably going to break it and head down further. So no need to rush on anything. Just make sure if price gets back into these zones that it actually does hold as support before you make any buying decisions. On the other hand, if it doesn't do that, if it continues up from here, then it's going to have to get above this level here for me to think that it was going to continue long from there. So that's about 1.277. So that's all I really wanted to show you. A lot of the other majors like Luna, Solana, they didn't really present very good potential entries, in my opinion, from how far they pulled back. So yeah, they're not on my list for now. But is there any requests? Anything you guys want me to look at? I can do that for you. Got your warning. Good to see it come true. Wish I understood how to capitalize on it. Well, to capitalize on, firstly, staying out is a good way to capitalize on it because you're not giving your money back to the market. Second of all is you could have shorted, so you could have, taken advantage of believing that the leverage was eventually going to get flushed out. Or just wait till now, The only thing is for us in Australia, that big push, like that big drop happened whilst we were asleep, but there was a big push up before it. So we probably never would have caught it anyway. So that's what happens when you trade things at a 24/7. LRC, all right. There's 2 requests there for LRC. So let's have a look at that. LRC. Yeah, this is nuts. This is the last time I charted LRC was down here at 0.6. I haven't looked back since. Yeah, something like this, what are you going to do? I don't think you want to be jumping in at these levels after such a big push. But look, back then, this push would have felt like this push. So eventually, there's always going to be a pullback. Actually, yeah, this does look like it wants to come back it wants to settle down and come back a bit. So we don't know if the move is over yet, but I would expect for that to start to pull back at some point soon. Please look at OMI. I think OMI is on this one. Let's have a look. All right, so that's looking like a not favorable double top right there. However, let's see. Currently, okay, so it's currently still intact with the trend line. I would wait and see if this creates an ascending triangle breakout. If it does, it will be huge. And I hope that. And I know that Omi's got a lot of good things going on right now, so it's more bullish than bearish. But let's see. So what we need to see is a bit of a recovery here, and then expect a breakout. If we can get a third touch, the fourth touch should break through. However, you also need to be prepared that it breaks this trend line, and then, probably takes the leg down. If we end up in this zone, what will that be? Yeah, Omi often likes to do 20 to 30% pullbacks. So if we do break this trend line, that's what I would expect. But again, I'm long-term bullish on Omi, so I would happily hold through that for the next leg up. I don't think it would be bearish for long. But yeah, the ascending triangle breakout would be much more ideal, in my opinion. Can you have a look at H bar? Yes, I can. I'm actually starving, and I forgot to have dinner before I turn this on. So that was dumb of me, but I'm going to have to go soon and do that. Okay. H bar. Same deal, really. Well, what could you do from here? If you're already holding H bar, then fantastic. Just ride the wave. But the problem from here is, what do you do when your candle close resistance is up here, and like, where would you, if you were looking to get in long, what's your risk to reward on that going to be? Be terrible. Be a 0.8, so couldn't enter a long if you were looking at it. Let's see if it comes back to trend. Will there be an opportunity? Draw this out to here. You probably missed the opportunity, actually, because the zone was right there, and it wicked right into there. So that, yeah, if you had a limit order on that, it would have got picked up, and that would have been an amazing day trade that had the potential to turn into something much more massive. But now that looks like there's a lot of buyer interest in this, and it's probably not going to come back down into that zone. You never know, but it's probably not going to. So you'd just be looking to ride the wave on this. And yeah, unless it gets a decent retracement, that's probably not an area to buy. I've been looking at Elliott waves on LRC all the way up. Yeah, nice one. That's a good idea. Annii, are you able to check out LTC? It's had a decent run the past few days. Yeah, I am, but I'm allergic to LTC now because LTC doesn't deserve its run. Like, it doesn't deserve it. What did you do? Nothing, but let's look at it anyway. So, you're in a bull market if LTC runs. That's how you know, because this is people just buying anything. This is people who got in 2017 when LTC was all the rage, coming back now going, oh, I remember that coin. That coin pumped. I'm going to get in on it now. That's what this is. But you know what? It probably will. It'll probably moon because of those people. So thank you for your arrival. But here we go. So this is LTC is wicking into this zone here, which makes perfect sense that it's going to have a rejection there. I would now, two things you could do. You'd either wait for it to build a bull flag, which it could potentially do over the next few days, or let's see, where did I draw fibs from? Probably that push there. See if we come back to retest now this 38 level, which was the previous resistance. So let's see if it comes back to test that as support. So way too early to tell, but let's see if it can build somewhat of a flag like this, then really anything from 38 even down to the 50 level, because that would retest this area, could potentially be a buy for continuation up. And considering it's wicked into that zone once before, I would expect that if this does build a flag and then does push out, that the next attempt will get through that zone, which means that you're now looking up here for a profit area. So yeah, it does look good, but it doesn't deserve to look good. Okay, what else? Uniswap. So Uni. Okay, I did chart this up before this stream and I decided not to include it. The reason is this, well, I'll do it live with you now. The reason is because when we connect these highs here and then we connect these lows here and then switch back to candles, we have broken out and we've done nothing ever since. It's just ranged sideways. So that's disappointing when you have such a big range that squeezes into a triangle and then it just fails out of the triangle. It's very disappointing. So now what we need is for it to make up its mind between these two levels. And that's only really going to happen if some volume comes in. So let's just turn on the volume and have a look. Volume only increased on that dump. Let's see this volume instead. Yeah, so well, all the volume is in here, like where the zone is right now. Let me just move this out. Yeah, so yeah, that's why we're ranging, because the biggest amount of traded volume is between these two levels. So I'll just turn that off now, so we know that. So really all you're waiting for now is for it to actually make up its mind. Does it want to push up above that resistance for continuation up, or is it going to get exhausted and the bears take over for continuation down? So between 24 and say 27.50, there's no decision to be made. It needs to get some volume. All right, guys, I'm going to go have dinner. Thank you for joining me. I hope that was fun. Again, if you got something out of this video, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the like button. And don't forget, if you're wanting to enter that crypto case competition, besides liking and subscribing, there are a couple of other things that you have to do. So just head to the description of this video and click on the first link for the competition entry details and get yourself in to be part of that. All right, guys, I will see you again next week sometime. Enjoy your weekend, maybe on the weekend if something happens. And otherwise, I'll see you soon.